Hello and welcome to Beyond NSU. I'm your host, Tia Monet, and on today's exclusive segment, we have special guest Don Carey, a 2009 graduate of Norfolk State University with a bachelor's degree in building construction technology. Shortly after he departed NSU, his athletic ability launched him into stardom and straight into the NFL. He was initially drafted as a safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars, then transitioned to the Detroit Lions in 2011. Not only has Don been a member of the National Football League for 9 years, but he is also CEO of CNR Preferred, a real estate agency he laid the foundation for himself in 2012. In addition, he's currently expanding and nurturing his passion for education as he pursues a master's degree in theological studies at Moody Theological Seminary. Don believes that true success isn't defined by the number of goals we reach, but by the number of people we reach. It is with pleasure that I welcome to the show celebrated NFL player, author, speaker, CEO, philanthropist, and activist, Don Carey. So, Mr. Carey, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So first, I want to ask you, what really motivated you to come to Norfolk State University?
Well, Norfolk State was the first university I ever seen, right? So growing up, none of my family members went to college. So when we moved to Norfolk from Grand Rapids, Michigan, I went to Booker T. Washington High School, and you can see the Twin Towers from, the front. And a lot of kids would say, you know what, that's just Norfolk State. But I'm like, that's Norfolk State. You know what I mean? That's so I was blessed to be able to get a full ride to play football here. And it worked out perfectly for me.
Wow, that's awesome. So from Michigan to Norfolk, what was that move? Like, why?
So my mother married a retired military veteran. Right. So my stepdad served in the Navy on the Eisenhower in the late 80s, early 90s. And he decided to stay here once he transitioned out of the military. And by way of fate, somehow he and my mom connected, and we ended up down here in 2000. So.
Okay, so you played football here. What was your experience like, trying to juggle school, all of your academic work, and also athletics?
You know, for me, I loved it. I've always seen myself as kind of an academic. I love the process of learning, right? Especially if I'm doing something I'm passionate about, which building construction technology was. So I didn't really see it as a task or a grueling venture. I mean, I love going to class. And then football that's my pastime. It kept me out of trouble as a kid. It was my woosah, so to speak. Right. So for me, my time at NSU was very joyous. I was doing what I love to do. I was around great people from all over the country. And, man, I felt like we were really doing some good things.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you ever aspire to be in the NFL when you were playing football here?
Who doesn't, right? Everyone wanted to be in the NFL. But for me, I set aside a goal, right? And I had like a 3-step plan to get there. And it just happened to work out, so. Wow. Yeah.
So how did that work for you? Were you in touch with recruiters? Did they find you? Did they come to some of the games? How did that work?
Yeah, so I've been in the NFL for a very long time. And I always tell, in hindsight, I always tell young guys on the collegiate level, don't worry about making it to the NFL. It is not your job to get drafted. It is your job to be the best player that you can be at that moment. Right. Because that's what draws the attention of the NFL scouts. So for me, my junior year, we play our first Division I game against Rutgers, and we get absolutely destroyed, But I held my own against one of the nation's best receivers. Wow. I mean, held him to 0 catches, and he was pretty frustrated with me. It was pretty cool. So from there, scouts became interested in me, started coming to practices and other games and whatnot, and I was able to show up, at the most important times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So being that, you played football here, but you also studied and excelled in school, and then you went into the NFL, what skills did you learn in school that helped you in your NFL career that you didn't know would?
Right. So in the BCT, building construction technology field, a lot of your classes were at night. Okay. Right. So you had to learn how to study at unorthodox times. And once you get to the NFL, it's far more studying, like playbook, film study, classroom work than anything, right? And is not your typical get there in the morning, you're done by 12 o'clock. You're there grueling hours of the day. I would tell guys I'm with NFL players during the season more than I am with my family, right? So taking those late night classes here in the BCT department, having to stand up in front of people and give presentations and be held accountable for it. Those things really prepared me for the back office part of football that you don't see on Sunday.
Well, that's really interesting. Really good life skills that you learned here.
Yeah, man.
So transitioning from the NFL to kind of, your family-oriented other life, can you tell us a little bit about that and how that transition was for you?
Sure. So it was pretty interesting. Like I said, I was with my teammates more than I was with my family during the season. And now that I'm retired, I'm with my family all the time, right? So I kind of had to relearn, or reintroduce myself to my wife. And now I'm a husband full time instead of just 3-4 hours out of the day. I gotta go back to sleep. But it's been a great experience, right? It's reaffirmed the reason I married my wife, and we still just as in love now 5 years later, as was our wedding day.
That's
and
wonderful.
I get the chance to spend time with my 2 children. My son, he is 4, my daughter's 1, and we're taking on the task of homeschooling. So we're trying to teach them how to read and simple math. Right. So I mean, it's a joyous time, right? That I didn't get a chance to do when I was in the NFL, but now that I'm done, right, I get a chance to do.
Wow, homeschool, that's a daunting but very rewarding task.
Right. It is. Well, I would say far more rewarding than daunting, right? Because it forces you to kind of revisit some things that that you kind of forgotten. But there's nothing like seeing the light bulb go off in your child's eyes. So I live for those moments when my son can take the sounds of a letter and then string them together in what's called a blend and come up with a word. Right? For him, it's like, oh my God, I got it. And I'm like, thank God, you got it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's great times. Right.
Well, there's no feeling like that.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about, you're a CEO of a company, you're in theological school. What are you doing now? What are your plans for the future?
Sure. So I'll take the theological part first. The reason I went back to school to get my master's degree is because I wanted to learn more about my faith, right? Up until 2011, I wasn't a Christian, but when I became a Christian, I didn't know much about the Bible or the Old Testament in general. So I decided to go back and get a master's in theological studies with a focus on Old Testament theology, simply because I wanted to learn more, right? And I had the time to do so. My wife, she's a lawyer. She actually helped me start the company in 2012 for CNR Preferred, which is now Ascension Realty. Okay. And the idea is to provide affordable housing for families that doesn't look like you're in a hood, right?
Wow.
So all of the properties that we own and manage are our own, right? And we provide a great living environment for our tenants, and we hope to keep them there for a long time.
Wow, that's really nice. Right. And there's not a lot of that going on.
Yeah, because it is a business to an extent where you're trying to make the most money that you can.
Yeah.
But when you're in it for the reasons we're in it, money is not always a primary motivation.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Mr. Carey. We are out of time for today, but again, I would like to thank you for joining us on this exclusive segment. If you're interested in learning more about our guest, then be sure to get his first book, It's Not Because I'm Better Than You, in which Don shares his story and the principles he's used to achieve success. Once more, I'm your host, Tia Monet, and this is Beyond NSU.